polonium reacts tremendously with the lanthanides. Take a look at the lanthanides. On the left you have cerium. And because it's so reactive, polonium and cerium combine to make polonium-cerium complex of some kind. That is not in the literature, although polonium has been studied a lot, and the lanthanides have been studied in some ways already a long time. But the main purpose of the studies was to bring them into commerce. To bring them into commerce. And now you have all the plastic teeth in the marketplace full of cerium. Look at the other lanthanides. Besides cerium, you have praseodymium, then neodymium, and then promethium. PM is promethium. And I'll say right away that I'm finding promethium everywhere, even more than cerium and polonium. And I know nothing about it. I haven't been able to find anything yet in the literature, and so far I've been working over a year and a half. I can't find out what it does either, but it's everywhere, so you know it's doing something. So if you can, join me on it. I'll be teaching you some of this in the study group. And notice that the lanthanides have very often an ending that lets you figure it out. There's cerium, praseodymium, neodymium, promethium. It's radioactive. It's the only radioactive lanthanide that's in large quantities. And then comes samarium, europium, gadolinium, terbium, dysprosium, holmium, erbium, thulium. Thulium is in reverse osmosis water filters. It's made with thulium in it. If you pass your water through something, anything, charcoal or any kind of filter that is contaminated with something, you'll be contaminating your water instead of cleaning it, of course. And so we need to be a little more enlightened about how we're treating our water. Okay, let's go back to the page on global disease. Coming up from the ground below us is a huge cloud of radioactive elements mixed with lanthanide elements. It's so thick that in 5 minutes you can already test it. I've been trying to filter it out, and I'm beginning to succeed somewhat, but it's much better not to live on a piece of ground that's producing this. And so, as a result of all the studies I've done so far, I made a new concept out of 10 commandments of health. These are the things, and we won't go over all of them, but these are the things that would take away this global illness that we have. What are our global illnesses? I'm considering the most prevalent illnesses that we have, or just lack of wellness, to be fatigue as we get older, wrinkling of skin, losing eyesight, losing hearing, and all these things we call aging. And included is bone disease and vascular disease, which takes in just about everything. And of course, it's easy to see how we would have genetic disease. Most of these things are radioactive. Why wouldn't we get mutations? We would. So when I'm saying that all of our diseases are caused by certain central factors that come from under the earth due to our general lack of knowledge that this is going on, and that we could do away with it. Maybe we could filter it out of our houses, but best of all would be not to live there. So my first commandment, that is not set in stone by any means, but I think it would be the very wisest thing for us to test each place for radon, because that test already exists. You can already buy a radon test kit. Test for the longer time period, there are two kits available. And if there is any radon, don't buy there. You know, our government agencies love us so much, they don't want us to worry about anything. They don't want us to worry our heads about radon coming up or any such things that we can't do anything about. So when they see radon coming up in most places, they tell you, oh, it's all right up to 4 picocuries per liter. But once you know that radon is really the smallest part of the problem, that the big part of the problem is promethium perhaps, and all these lanthanides, and all the complexes that are being made, and their derivatives in the body, then I think that we should choose a place that has no radon. Why live on top of a uranium phosphate rock? Dust coming up from under the earth isn't the same from place to place. In fact, one room in your house could have none, and a different room have a lot, because it's where the fumes and the dust goes, where the damage is. So if you're buying a house, I would say test it in more than one room, or in the most likely place, the basement. And if there's any radon, don't buy there. Why look for illness? So that's the first commandment. Choose a dwelling with a floor above ground so that the radon and the other radioactive elements and lanthanides can escape. Don't put your floor right on the ground. Now, dust is made of a lot of different things, and these elements stick to the dust. That's why you can do the kind of paper experiment I was telling you about. Dust is sticky, and on some days you get a lot coming up, and some days not so much. It depends on temperature too. When the earth is getting colder, it shrinks, or it cracks. And the more cracks there are in the earth, the more of this dust and gas and other things is going to come up. Then when it warms up again, there should be less. And I haven't done a temperature experiment yet, but there are all these variables. So try to find out about your location, whether you're living in a healthy place, and whether you could do something to improve it. In other words, get that dust out from under your house. Let it go somewhere else. So I'm saying that ordinary dust is sticky enough to catch the radioactive elements and lanthanide elements on their way up from the uranium phosphate rocks and make a deadly dust. Now, when I analyze, which I have done for 10 or 15 years already, many different kinds of illnesses, I find these lanthanides and these radioactive elements in complexes in the sick organ. It's not just an imaginary thing. In other words, our what we call chronic degenerative disease I think, is based on this. The other big problem we have is loss of immune power in the last half century or so. And the basis for that comes out of this too. All of our immune cells, which are our white blood cells have the job of eating these bad elements and eating bacteria and eating viruses. Our white blood cells have that huge task. They have to eat the bad thing, detoxify it in some way, and then carry it to the bladder so that you can excrete it. And then they have to come back for more. They have to be able to sniff it out and eat it, destroy it, and spit it out again. That's the system of the immune system. But the immune system requires at least 3 kinds of enzymes to do that work. One kind of enzymes requires organic germanium. Another kind of enzymes requires organic selenium. And another kind of enzyme requires vitamin C, organic vitamin C. All the automotive oils and greases that we live in, gasoline and wheel bearing grease and motor oil and so on, it uses up, in other words, the white blood cells use their germanium enzymes to detoxify that. All of our chlorine kind of toxins, PCBs and all the chlorinated things, including our chlorinated water, carbon tetrachloride, and all these other chlorinated things which are very harmful, they get eaten up and destroyed by the organic selenium kinds of enzymes that the white blood cells have. But all the radioactivity out there requires a vitamin C kind of white blood cell. Every white blood cell has to have all 3, but different enzymes are used for the different toxins. And when it's a radioactive thing, I see only the vitamin C get depleted. And that is why we have our vitamin C deficiency. And that is why we have discovered, just by trial and error, that taking a lot of vitamin C is helpful. But you can see that we'll never catch up with it. And this is what I see in all ill people. The whole population on Earth is vitamin C deficient. But eating more doesn't help very much. It just helps until they've thrown out enough radioactivity to take in more, because we are so deluged in it. Maybe we're having quite a bit more from the days of testing radioactive weapons. I don't know that. Maybe this has always gone on. Maybe there's more turbulence now than before. I don't know that either. But I do know that this is what's affecting each of us. And then after we are vitamin C deficient, which comes in around, not middle age, much earlier, teenage, early teenage, we're already vitamin C deficient. Once we have the disadvantage of the immune problem that vitamin C deficiency makes, then we get the other diseases. And so then we get cancer and vascular disease and bone disease and the various diseases that we're familiar with. But if we were to take away this underlying universal illness, we would be much further ahead. I think that sums it up.